Well, I'm home. I've unpacked my supplies. I finally caught up with the laundry. And I've settled back into a little bit of a routine after my 2-week residency. And I've had some time to reflect. Right after the residency, my family and my parents, we all went down to the beach and spent a week with my brother's family. And so I really had a good amount of time just to kind of think back on everything and to consider all the things I had learned. So I wanted to share that a little bit with you today, and just kind of wrap this whole vlog series up as far as the lessons I've learned, the different things that I've walked away with, and they're a little bit surprising to me. There are different things that I'm walking away with that I did not expect at all. So there are a couple different lessons that I learned, and when I was reflecting, I spent some time writing them down, and so I'm just going to go through them. First lesson was that simplicity isn't boring. One thing I learned is that simplicity really works well for me. So does routine. And this may sound funny coming from someone who's always loving to learn new things and try new things, and those are, the things I love the most. But I realized something about myself. My mind naturally generates enough creative chaos, and I don't need to make my schedule be part of that chaos, or it can really trip me up. In fact, when my days are simple and repeatable, it frees up my creative energy for the work that I want to do instead of trying to decide what to do next. Without this type of rhythm, I find that I tend to spin my wheels a lot. I overthink everything. I get overwhelmed with all the possibilities. And sometimes I end up actually exhausting myself before I even get started. This residency reminded me that structure isn't limiting, it's supporting. Lesson 2 is that limited time doesn't mean limited creativity. One of my biggest questions going into this year was, can I still be an artist while being a full-time employee at the Children's Museum, which I'm going to be starting that position in just a couple days. I think a lot of artists wrestle with this. We imagine that creativity requires huge stretches of uninterrupted time, and that this residency reminded me that that's not necessarily true. It's actually, I noticed that I accomplished a lot more than I thought I would. And it's not because I was working constantly. It's because I was working intentionally. And that was profound for me to know. That gives me a tremendous amount of hope as I move into this new season. It tells me that meaningful work isn't built in an abundance of extra time. It's just built in using the time that I have consistently. Lesson number 3 is that the work that changes me has the greatest chance of changing someone else. I've always wanted my work to connect with people. This is something that's always been really important to me. One of the things that I get the most joy out of is when someone connects with my work in ways that are new and exciting, and maybe not exactly the way that I'm connecting with it, but it really deeply impacts them. Most of the things that I experienced were not just all good or all bad, things that I'd want to take or leave behind or anything like that. They were all about choices, and every choice had benefits and it had costs. For example, I intentionally divided my time between painting, printmaking, and doing stitch work and working in fiber. The variety was incredibly fun. It kept me engaged the whole time. It like really fed into my love of learning. But the downside of that is I didn't really get to go especially deep into any one of those disciplines. I was kind of like on the surface for a lot of that kind of stuff, learning a little here and there, but not really going further down in. And so neither approach is wrong. It's just simply noticing that they have different goals. And so this was good to pay attention to. Another example was spending the residency around family. This gave me incredible inspiration. Some of the richest moments in the residency came because my creative life and my family life were interconnected and woven together. And as a mixed media artist, that layering was just delightful and so rich and wonderful. But it also created a constant tension between wanting to be present with people and wanting uninterrupted studio time. I'd hear things going on upstairs and be like, wow, I wonder what they're doing. Or I'd get pulled away for a little bit because it sounded like a kid needed help. And so that was a little bit of a challenge between keeping focus and being present with my family. And again, neither is right or wrong. It's simply understanding the cost of the choice that you're making. I think that's one of the biggest gifts about evaluating a residency is not asking, was it perfect? But asking, was the trade-offs that I made, were they the right trade-offs for what I was trying to accomplish? And not every residency is going to have the same goals and the same things you're going to want to accomplish. There may be times in the future where I decide I want to just focus on one discipline because I really want to go deep in it. Or it's time for me to actually go by myself for a certain period of time to a completely unknown area to really, really focus in and have my family not be part of it. There may be seasons where that's the method I want to go. So it's just really great knowing that, you know, there's not a right or wrong. It's just evaluating what those choices are going to take. So as I close this chapter, I'm incredibly grateful. Not because I came home with a certain number of paintings. You know, you can see all of these things over here. I'm actually preparing them to get them on the website to share them with people soon. And it's not because I mastered any new techniques. I mastered nothing. I had such a great time, but I have so much more to learn. I added to my knowledge base, but there was, I don't think there was a whole lot of mastery. But I came home knowing myself a little bit better and trusting the process a little bit more, paying attention a little bit more deeply, and then believing that a meaningful creative life isn't built around constant productivity. It's built through faithfulness. It's built through curiosity and through simplicity and through making room to notice what God is doing in and around us. Thank you for following along with me on this residency journey. I hope it's encouraged you not just to make more art, but to create intentional space for whatever God may be inviting you to notice in this season of your life. In the last video that I'm going to be doing in this series, I am going to be sharing some selected pieces with you alongside of their stories and how I am looking at them in this particular scope of like the lessons that I've learned and what their symbolism is. And so I'm excited to share that all in the next video. And then that'll be wrapping up my series for this particular residency. You can keep looking for some blog posts that'll be coming out. If you want to stay in touch with me after this whole series wraps up and know what I'm going to be doing next, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to my email list. Where I'll be sharing updates as I move into this new season of working full-time as a museum exhibition coordinator and also continuing in my practice. So we'll see you next time, and thanks for joining me.